Hi everyone, I'm Duran.
And I'm Duane.
We're an expat couple living here in Dublin, Ireland for the past 4 years.
So we've recently had our 4th wedding anniversary, and it made us think a bit about how moving to Ireland has changed our relationship. If you're interested in what it's like to live in Ireland, especially as a couple, please do make sure to like the video and subscribe so the algorithm will show you more of our videos.
Now you may not really think that having different things happen in your relationship could be affected by something as tiny as a move to another country, but you really start realizing that some of the small things you would have taken for granted in your relationship that would have worked before do need a little bit of tweaking. And one of those things you keep hearing again and again is actually communication.
So with moving to another country, there comes one big thing, and that's decisions. There are a lot of decisions to make. What kind of job will you be looking for? What kind of place to live? How do you want your life to look like? Because you have to not exactly question everything in your life, but everything's going to change in your life because the place will just be different, and you'll have to set priorities about what matters to you. And that really does need a lot of communication so it works out that both people in a relationship are happy. And for us, it was sometimes even just figuring out small things. Like, I'm from Austria, the Rum's from Barbados. So already 2 different cultures to start with. And it's just sometimes small things where the Austrian way of thinking in general, the German language tends to be very direct. And
yeah, as you can see by my almost complacent sounding just now, we do, take things seriously, but I don't almost like more chill vibe. So, for example, I may be talking stuff and it's like really serious, but my voice, doesn't sound serious at all.
And also a lot of the things you say are sometimes more subtle. And now that I've figured it out, sometimes I'm like, can you repeat that as clearly as possible? Because I'm not sure I got the full meaning of what you just said. And sometimes it's literally down to something absurdly simple, like you'd say, let's go for a walk now. And my German brain and the way the German language works interprets now as in like, okay, let's put on our shoes, let's go right now. Like, drop everything you're doing. And that's not how it's meant.
It's like, now is in the near future. It's no, I can keep time, we can keep time, but now means, I think about it, we're gonna do it now.
Yeah, my brain even went like, what? No. What do I have to do now? What?
Another thing of where the communication helped is that since we come from 2 different cultures, we were able to explain some things to each other. For example, being from a country that was a past colony in the UK, I'm an English speaker, also native English speaker. Some of the subtleties of the English language or some people's body movements were things that when we were discussing things with people or wondering, hey, did that discussion for negotiation for rent or something like that go correctly? I'll be able to tell her about the subtleties of why I think, that went correctly. And it worked, the other way as well. Things about Europe that, wouldn't really have known. Like something as simple as catching a train. No trains in Barbados, it's a small country. Had a train. There is a train now, but that's a tourist attraction. So
one part of moving country is also that usually you have to adjust your traditions. For us, we had to adjust our traditions even more because things like Christmas are celebrated slightly bit differently in Austria than in Barbados. So for example, we celebrate on the 24th, and in Barbados and in Ireland, you celebrate on the 25th. So this year, especially with the general state of things, we didn't go home for Christmas to either of the countries. We just stayed here in Ireland, and that was the first time we actually got to stay over Christmas and figure out how to integrate a bit more Ireland into Christmas traditions as well. So we started off by watching the Late Late Toy Show. There is a video link below if you want to watch.
Yes, and thank you for your suggestions to do that again. It will be part of our tradition going forward.
Yes. And also mince pies. That's something we did in the past.
Why she's stammering is because we never read the instructions. We did not know you had to heat them up. So for about 2 years or so, we'd be having this thing just cold and we're like, what? You're supposed to heat it? It does make a difference, a lovely difference.
It does taste better if you heat it up. It's like, even if you're feeling a bit lazy, it's like, trust us, we've tasted the difference. Always heat them up and always read the instructions first, exactly.
The next point is almost, I would say, the biggest point, the most important point, but probably the most encompassing, and that is expectations. Especially when you come from anywhere at all, if you're a couple, the same culture even, you're coming into a new space and you really need to check your expectations. Now we had it harder than most people. With 2 different cultures means that you have different sets of expectations. And then landing in a third country, that's a whole lot of expectations to have. Expectations can be how you expect things to operate or how things would be done, or even, as the 2 of you look for jobs and your flat and these other things, how you expect those things to go. And the truth is that sometimes a lot of these expectations, especially for 2 different cultures, could really hold you back.
Figuring out what your own expectations are can be hard sometimes, especially if you grow up in a place like Austria, which doesn't necessarily have that much diversity and like different attitudes or expectations, and then you're confronted with 2 different types of expectations. So for example, in Austria, it's a very family-oriented place, and I didn't realize until I heard other people observe it that everything is set up for that. It's like the way maternity leave can be up to 3 years, like the way activities that would be offered, the things you'd do on a weekend. It's just all very, very much about family and spending time together. And when you move to another country, that's maybe something you don't have.
Yeah, for example, in Barbados, weekends, there could have been some hanging out with families, but as soon as you're old enough, that's when it's time to, you have your friends, you have your parties or so on like that. It's like, oh cool, work's done, Friday night, I'm going out to, bar, drinks, etc. That. Might do the same thing with another couple of friends, and even on holidays and stuff like that. Everyone kind of like, as you're like a young adult, so on, you might go and do your own things, then your parents do your own things. So it was something that, even when my mom came to Austria, she was like, yes, it's a very family-oriented society. In Barbados, like my culture is more like, work hard, play hard. Always to play hard, to work hard. I think people try to do. It's what I try to do. But yeah, so it's kind of like everything isn't, you don't, for example, just wait for the weekend or certain times to relax. There's a time to relax and have good vibes. Every day, at some part of the day, must have some good vibes in it.
And I think trying to find the vibes and stuff has been a way of trying to connect with the more local culture, which could be, I guess, the expat culture but also overall Irish culture. So what we noticed is that Fridays are a special day in the week. It's like if you work in a company, and I've not particularly noticed this from Irish colleagues, they'll start off the day with like, Happy Friday!
That's my literal reaction.
Which sounds a bit sarcastic to get that at 9 a.m. It's like, chill yourself, we still have like 8 hours of work here. It'll take a while for it to be actually Friday. It took us a bit to realize more that it's like you're trying to build up the excitement for Friday night, where under different circumstances than the current ones, you might go out to the pub afterwards with your friends, with your colleagues, and it's just about kind of the play hard.
Yeah, the
as
anticipation and stuff like that. Because one of the things we would have realized is that through some of these expectations of experiences, you can actually keep yourself back as someone who's trying to live in a new country. Because take this for example, if we both expected things to work like how they would work back home, then we'd almost be fighting against the tide of what it's like here.
And constantly be upset. So it was hard for me, but I've learned to not expect the same level of punctuality I'd expect in Austria or Germany. And I've seen so many people from German-speaking countries struggle with that. It's like, just accept island time is different. Whether the island is Barbados or Ireland, different places have different perceptions of time.
So I guess the overarching theme that we're getting at is just that when you're in a new country, especially, two different cultures in Ireland, it is that you almost go with the flow. You go with the flow and you integrate parts of your own relationship and the expectations that you expect with each other. You still have that building there. For example, we would still have influences and so on like that from home. For example, soca. Yeah, soca's more of a truly thing, but this one over here, kind of joins me in when it's the winter time, dark. Some soca, nothing like some good soca and calypso music.
I don't know how I made it through European winters without soca before.
And it's the same thing with the foods. Whenever there's some Austrian food around, like, yes, desserts are awesome. And even stuff with Ireland itself. Because even if we try to recreate our own cultures, there's still a clash of being here in Ireland. So we do various things from trying Irish foods, especially more in the restaurants, but we all know the story there. But also Irish content as well. From TV shows, yes, even RTE. And different things where we can kind of observe and kind of understand. My Irish accent seems to be going a bit. I'm watching, I'm not hanging out with my friends as much, so I think I sound a bit more Caribbean now, but she still sounds Irish. It's not going away.
Yeah, I think that's here to stay, and to be honest, I don't mind. That is the most compatible accent with how I speak from any accent of living somewhere I've tried to adapt before. It just feels a lot more natural. And maybe that is also because I do think it was, at least at first, a conscious effort of trying to get to know Irish culture, and it's very hard to just put it like that because culture is a very intangible thing and it takes time and you have to keep at it even when things don't make sense, and like you get very confused by the things people say. Like I remember the first time a landlady told us something was deadly and I stood there, I was like, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? I can't judge her facial reactions. And I just panicked internally.
I kind of got what she meant. I kind of explained this like, it's got to be a thing that deal with, like, that's awesome, but I got Delhi. It took me a while to try to use it, because the weird thing is that different cultures, I can't start using that when I'm talking about family Barbados, because it's like, it won't translate as well. So, oh boy.
And it's exactly that, like, we had to go through those kind of awkward experiences and sometimes just admit that we did not know what was going on, and just, even if it feels like a bit like a dumb question, ask, like, what do you actually mean by that? What does that word mean? And it's through that kind of active process and just like consuming more Irish content, we didn't even realize how much we've kind of adapted it and kind of got more the inside jokes or more the sense of humor. It's like until we started using words like deadly or something with the family, yes. or sending things that we think are absolutely gas, and it's just crickets, and they're like, okay, why is that funny? And they're like, no, that's hilarious, why don't you get it? And it's moments like that when we realize how long we've been here and how much of Irishness, for like a better word, we've probably adapted. So yeah, those were the things we realized we've learned, or how we've changed in 4 years of being married and also almost 5 years of living in Ireland. So do let us know in the comments, maybe what are things that you've experienced or ways that you've changed in by living in a different country or culture.
Yeah, and how you've adapted and how you've been able to adapt with your partner if you have a partner, and how it's, might have changed your relationship. Are you more chill? Are you more cool? What is it? What do you do? And with that, we bid you adieu. Don't forget to subscribe. We have a whole collection of videos here about living and moving to Ireland. So please do check that out. And we'll see you next time. Später.
Bye.